Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to our hearts: the timeless Amish traditions of food preservation. These aren't just old skills, they're a way to connect with our heritage, build self reliance, and savor the flavors of our hard work all year long. So let's get into it.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Canning is a wonderful method many people mention for storing everything from fruits and vegetables to meat. The basic principle is simple. Food is heated and sealed in jars to create a vacuum which prevents spoilage. Water bath canning is a global tradition with a powerful legacy. Many stories were shared about using this method for all kinds of foods, including low-acid items like meat and vegetables, from family traditions in Germany and Ohio to recipe books in 1950s Australia. This was a way of life, a testament to the knowledge and resourcefulness of our ancestors. The magic of the vacuum seal is a key part of the process, as one person wisely pointed out that satisfying isn't created in the boiling water. It happens as the jar cools and the pressure inside drops, pulling the lid down to create a perfect seal. While these traditions have worked for generations, it's important to understand the modern perspective on food safety. Today, organizations like the USDA recommend using a pressure canner for low-acid foods to ensure that any potential botulism spores are destroyed. If one chooses to follow the traditional water bath method for these foods, it's a personal decision based on family experience. Just be smart, be safe, and never try to shorten the processing time. Pressure canning is the modern gold standard for low-acid foods like meats, vegetables, and stews. Many of our viewers admitted that using a pressure canner for the first time can be intimidating. But as one person said, your canner will not explode. Nothing bad is going to happen. Once we try it, we realize it's much safer than we thought. Beyond just safety, this method offers a powerful sense of self-reliance. One person shared how they started canning after a hurricane wiped out hundreds of dollars worth of meat, a lesson that now ensures they always have a backup food supply. It's also a fantastic way to save money and prepare for the colder months, with many of us recalling how our fathers put up tons of fruits and vegetables to provide warm meals all winter long. The flavor is another incredible benefit. Pressure canning makes meat unbelievably tender and helps all the flavors meld and intensify. For those just starting out, practical tips were shared, like using a large pot to brown meat more quickly and only adding starches like noodles or rice right before serving to maintain their perfect texture. Make your lives extraordinary.
Make your lives extraordinary.
These are among the oldest preservation methods, working by simply removing moisture from food, which inhibits the growth of bacteria. So many beautiful memories were shared of sun-drying tomatoes, beans, and other produce. This method is popular in hot climates, from Dubai and India to Saudi Arabia. One person recalled their grandmother sun-drying tomatoes on a large metal pan on the garage roof to better catch the sun, a wonderful example of human ingenuity. Others mentioned drying vegetables on a tin roof in the southern mountains or preserving lamb under the sun in Algeria. A special mention goes to biltong, a method of drying meat from our friends in South Africa. They use a simple mix of salt, pepper, and a little vinegar, with the most crucial part being good air circulation to prevent mold. When sun-drying beans, it's wise to sort through them to remove any small stones or stems. For drying meat, a key tip is to ensure the pieces don't touch each other, allowing for even airflow. Today, dehydrating food is the most popular and controllable drying method. Many of our viewers shared that having a good dehydrator with sufficient wattage can significantly reduce drying time. Many of us have made the same beginner mistake, not knowing about conditioning. This is a crucial step for long-term storage, where you let dehydrated foods sit in an airtight jar for a few days to evenly distribute any remaining moisture. We also found great ways to maximize our dehydrated harvests. If the texture of a vegetable isn't ideal, it can easily be ground into a powder to add nutrients to soups and stews, preventing waste. To save time and money, a clever tip is to buy frozen vegetables on sale for dehydrating, since all the prep work is already done. And for those who have a dehydrator sitting unused in the closet, know that you're not alone. Many viewers admitted to being too afraid to use theirs, but after watching a few instructional videos, they gained the confidence to start and now can't stop. Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
These methods all use salt and smoke to draw out moisture and create an inhospitable environment for microbes. Salt curing is not just an ancient technique, it's a family tradition slowly being lost in the modern world. Salt is the primary ingredient used to draw out moisture, inhibit bacteria, and impart a distinct flavor. Salt curing is a tradition passed down through generations, and many heartwarming memories were shared about learning this skill from parents and grandparents, from the southern U.S. all the way to New Zealand. Typically, a generous amount of coarse salt, pepper, and brown sugar is used to coat the meat. Today, we have a crucial piece of knowledge to add to this tradition: the difference between regular salt and pink salt. As some viewers pointed out, pink salt contains compounds vital for preventing botulism in long-term dry curing processes. While many generations used regular salt successfully, it's a smart idea to do your own research and consider using a curing salt for safety. Smoking is a time-honored preservation method that infuses food with incredible flavor while extending its shelf life. For smoking, many of us discovered that great results don't require expensive equipment. The keep it simple stupid approach is often the best. People have found success with simple setups like a regular BBQ. A common challenge is maintaining a low, consistent temperature, but tips like using the minion method or the snake method for charcoal have been shared as great solutions. When it comes to larger cuts like pork butt or brisket, a critical part of the process is understanding the stall, where the internal temperature plateaus, and wrapping the meat tightly helps push it past this point while locking in moisture. A valuable food safety lesson is that for these larger cuts, it's best to pull or chop the meat after it has been cooked and rested, which prevents it from drying out when reheated. Preserving in lard or tallow is an ancient method used in many parts of the world, from Poland and the Philippines to rural America. It works by creating an airtight seal that protects meat from air and bacteria. This ancient preservation method often brings back warm family memories of grandmothers and mothers using the technique. Cooked meat, typically pork, is packed into crocks or jars, and hot rendered lard is poured over it. As the lard cools, it forms a secure airtight seal. This method was often used in cold climates, allowing the meat to last for several months. However, a crucial precaution is to ensure the meat is thoroughly cooked and that all tools and containers are sterilized beforehand to prevent spoilage. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
My father taught me many things. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Fermentation is a natural process that uses good bacteria to preserve food, while often enhancing its nutritional value. Pickling is a popular method for preserving and adding a tangy flavor, whether it's cucumbers in vinegar or vegetables in a salt brine. The world of pickles is incredibly diverse, with stories highlighting traditions from Poland's kizan and the sun-fermented pickles of Romania to the spiced varieties of India. A central theme is the science of brine, and many people noted that iodine-free salt is crucial for fermentation, as iodine can interfere with the process. For those using vinegar in their recipes, a crucial detail to remember is the vinegar's acidity percentage. As one person from Ukraine pointed out, the standard in the US is 5%, but it can be higher in other countries, which would dramatically change the final flavor. Sauerkraut is a cherished tradition from Poland and Germany to the US. It was historically a vital food source, famously used by sailors to prevent scurvy. For centuries, people have used Old World techniques, often making sauerkraut in large stoneware pots or 5-gallon buckets with homegrown cabbage. The secret to success was rarely a precise recipe, but rather simple, instinctive measurements. Today, we have new tricks to make this tradition easier for those with arthritic hands. A great tip is to use a large Ziploc bag and a rolling pin to work the salt into the cabbage. To keep the cabbage submerged during fermentation, you can use a clean stone, a small plate, or even one of the outer cabbage leaves as a weight. A crucial tip from Eastern Europe is to always use non-iodized salt, as iodine can negatively affect the fermentation process, making the cabbage bitter and darker. Experiences with making kimchi highlight the balance between tradition and personal taste. An important step is to properly salt the cabbage to draw out moisture. One commenter found that soaking the cabbage in a saltwater brine for a few hours is a great alternative to bruising it, resulting in a brilliant texture. Just be prepared for the pungent smell. It's a natural part of the process.
Winter is coming.
Before refrigerators, root cellars were a lifeline for families, providing a naturally cool, dark, and humid space to store crops. Storing root vegetables is as relevant as ever for those looking to extend their harvest and reduce food waste. To properly store root vegetables, the ideal environment is cool, dark, and humid. Great tips were shared on using various mediums to keep vegetables from spoiling. For example, shredded paper works well for potatoes, while sand or peat moss is perfect for carrots and beets. A crucial tip, as one person wisely pointed out, is that potatoes should not be washed before storage. Instead, they should be cured and then stored with the dirt still on them to prevent rot. Another vital piece of advice is to handle all vegetables gently, as even small bruises or cuts can quickly lead to spoilage. This knowledge is seeing a modern revival, with many people now building their own cold rooms or reviving these old methods in their homes. It's a way to honor the past and ensure a secure future for our families. Hard-shelled squash and onions are fantastic crops for long-term storage. The key to long-term storage is proper harvesting and curing. For squash, it's vital to pick them when they're fully ripe, but before the first frost, then place them in a sunny, dry spot for a week or two to cure. A pro tip is to handle them gently, since any bruises can quickly lead to rot. Onions also need to be cured in a warm, dry, well-ventilated space until the neck is completely dry. Once cured, there are many creative storage solutions. Many viewers love the traditional method of braiding onions, but one brilliant tip from a gardener in Canada is to store them in old pantyhose, tying a knot between each onion. And as one person humorously pointed out, make sure to harvest your pumpkins from the field on time. If left to ferment, they can become a tempting treat for group-drunk deer and raccoons and cause a hazard.
Hey there! Today we're diving into a topic that's incredibly close to my heart and, as it turns out, to many of yours too, food preservation. In a world of rising costs and a growing desire for sustainable living, many of us are looking back to traditional methods, and that's exactly what we're going to explore. We're going to uncover the timeless wisdom of the Amish and Old Order Mennonite communities, whose practices offer incredible insights into self-sufficiency, sustainability, and living a truly intentional life. For years, I've been fascinated by their way of life, particularly their deep connection to the land and their traditional skills. This past summer, after 2 years of building trust and friendship, I had the incredible opportunity to sit down with an Amish woman who generously shared her family's canning practices, passed down for generations. Her approach, and that of many traditional communities, isn't about rigid USDA guidelines. It's about time-tested methods that have sustained families for centuries. As one commenter beautifully put it, "My grandparents never had a canner. My grandfather was a sharecropper and has hundreds of acres of gardens, pastures, and animals. He plowed with a mule, I say all this to say that we have gotten away from ways that were handed down generationally. It's true, we've lost touch with so much wisdom. This Amish woman's approach to canning is refreshingly simple. If it looks good and smells good, it's good to eat. She was genuinely surprised when I told her about modern concerns regarding shelf life and strict USDA rules. To her, these concepts are almost foreign because her community has always relied on practical observation and generational knowledge. She even mentioned having canned pumpkin that was 4 years old and still perfectly fine. A former Amish person echoed this sentiment, sharing, "I am a former Amish, and everything you have said is how I grew up canning, and I still can like that to this day. I don't remember my grandma or mom ever using a pressure canner, and we water bath pretty much anything meats, beans, etc., and we reuse lids as well. This is the only way we've canned, and after all the years of doing it this way, we've never had any issues of it going bad or anyone getting sick." This overwhelming trust in traditional methods is a significant point of departure from modern canning anxieties. Many traditional canners were never even introduced to the word botulism until recently, and they have always trusted in methods that have been practiced safely for generations. This perspective often stems from a childhood where questioning conventional wisdom, particularly government recommendations, was encouraged. As one viewer shared, "Not following what the government says. You are more than educated. You are awake." Before we dive into their fascinating practices, it's crucial to understand a key distinction. The traditional methods observed in Amish communities, while effective for them over generations, often differ significantly from modern, scientifically backed food safety guidelines, particularly those from the USDA. This is especially true for low-acid foods like meats and many vegetables, where specific heat and pressure are required to prevent serious risks like botulism. Always consult current, research-based guidelines for your own home canning to ensure safety. One of the biggest revelations for me was learning that the Amish water bath everything, including meats, which are typically recommended for pressure canning in modern guides. This particular Amish woman has never used a pressure canner in her life. She simply stated, "We have always water-bathed everything." The traditional canning practices of this Amish family showcase a reliance on time-tested, simple methods. For meats like chicken, beef, and deer, they place the contents into quart jars and water bath them for 3 hours. The timing begins once the water reaches a rolling boil, which is then maintained at a steady, gentle level to prevent spillage. For seasoning, they add 1 teaspoon of salt per quart and half, a teaspoon for pints with a personal preference for Himalayan pink salt. When canning green beans, a quart jar is filled with beans, a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of vinegar, and then boiled for 2 hours. If vinegar is not included, the boiling time is extended to 3 hours, as the vinegar is thought to act as a preservative and keep the beans crisp. As one person shared, "My grandmother water-bathed canned everything. She was not Amish. Born in 1869, raised on a farm. I'm now 73, raised on her canned foods, never sick from her canned foods. Thank you for this." For pumpkin and winter squash puree, the process mirrors how applesauce is made. The squash is cooked until soft in a kettle with a small amount of water, then run through a mill to remove the skins and seeds. The resulting puree is then water-bathed for 3 hours without any added salt or vinegar. These methods reflect a deep trust in generational knowledge and simple, effective techniques passed down through the family. Beyond the specific recipes, there are several key practices that define the traditional canning approach we observed. This Amish woman absolutely reuses her canning lids. She checks the rubber seal. If it's still soft and not crusty, she reuses it. However, she would never reuse a lid on something expensive like meat. She'd use it on a jelly or a jam, but it's just not worth it for meat products. She even reuses store-bought pickle jars and Cheese Whiz lids for canning. This really resonated with a commenter who stated, "If someone thinks that reusing jars or lids is cheap, they are in the wrong headspace. not only for canning, but I think for a lot of life in general. If it is undamaged, clean, and safe, use it. It's all about being resourceful and frugal. She generally fills jars up to the neck. The only time she allows for more headspace is when canning soups with vegetables, where more expansion is expected. Otherwise, she doesn't really worry about it. This is a stark contrast to modern recommendations for meticulous headspace measuring. When water bath canning, there's also no need to fully submerge jars in water. She brings the water level up to the product line. This traditional method, she believes, avoids siphoning, which can cause product to get between the seal and the jar, potentially compromising the seal. She also doesn't need to sterilize jars or new lids before canning, as the boiling water during the canning process is believed to sufficiently sterilize everything. The Amish do can pasta in their soups like their spaghetti soup. The key is to always cook the pasta first, often al dente, to prevent it from getting sticky inside the jar. For soups containing chicken, they water bath for 3 hours. When it comes to essential canning equipment, simplicity is key. You don't need a huge investment. A good quality, heavy-bottom stock pot is crucial to prevent scorching, especially for products with sugar content like apples or tomatoes. You can test a pot's bottom by tapping it. A dull thud indicates a thick bottom, while a ringing sound means it's too thin and prone to scorching. A food mill is another highly recommended tool, useful for making applesauce, grape juice, or tomato sauce, as it efficiently removes skins and seeds, saving peeling time. Lastly, investing in quality canning lids is important for a better seal rate. For beginners, these 3 items are sufficient to start canning without a huge investment. Water bath canning is suitable only for high-acid foods like fruits, including tomatoes with added acid. For low-acid foods, a pressure canner is essential according to modern food safety guidelines. You'll determine canning times based on the product's thickness to ensure it heats thoroughly and creates a vacuum upon cooling, which removes oxygen and seals the lid, preventing most bacteria from growing. For example, a thick pear sauce might be water-bathed for 20 minutes, while liquid fruits like pears in syrup only need 5 minutes to prevent them from becoming mushy. Pickles, due to their high vinegar content, only need about 3 minutes, as botulism cannot grow in vinegar. If you're adding low-acid vegetables to tomato products, incorporate vinegar to maintain acidity to meet high-acid requirements for water bath canning. Knowing if your canned food is safe to eat is a common concern. It's emphasized that canning rings should be removed after processing. This is because rings can rust to the jars, and more importantly, they can obscure whether a seal has failed and resealed, which would allow oxygen in and spoil the food. If the ring is off and the seal breaks, you'll see mold or fermentation, or the product will bubble and come out the top without exploding the jar. However, it's generally not recommended to taste test questionable sealed products for safety, as some dangerous toxins are odorless and tasteless. When in doubt, throw it out. A little fermented applesauce might not harm healthy individuals, but it indicates spoilage. If a jar fails to seal the first time, you have options. For products that are already a mush or sauce, like pear sauce or tomato sauce, you can re-water bath them, as re-cooking won't affect their texture. However, for foods like whole pears or peaches, which would turn to mush if re-cooked, it's advised to refrigerate them for immediate consumption. If you decide to recan, use a new jar and a new lid to eliminate potential equipment errors. The Amish and Mennonites, recognized for their traditional lifestyles, offer valuable lessons that extend beyond canning. Their methods demonstrate remarkable resourcefulness without relying on modern conveniences like electricity. One of the primary ways the Amish keep food cool is by utilizing refrigerators powered by propane or natural gas, not electricity. Companies like Crystal Cold and Easy Freeze manufacture these types of refrigerators, often resembling older models from the 1980s. This approach allows them to have the convenience of a refrigerator while adhering to their principles of avoiding grid electricity. As one viewer commented, they had an uncle and aunt who lived off-grid and used a kerosene-powered refrigerator, finding it fascinating how kerosene could keep things cold. Ice is another crucial element. In colder climates, some Amish communities engage in communal ice harvesting from frozen lakes and ponds. They use circular saws to cut the ice and picks to retrieve it, then transport it using horse-powered, specially constructed, thickly insulated ice houses. These ice houses, often insulated with styrofoam, can keep food cool year-round, with ice sometimes lasting longer than a year or two from a single harvest. A viewer vividly recalled their own experience harvesting ice from lakes and using it to preserve food, noting how the process was detailed in books like Little House House and The Farmer Boy. Beyond harvesting, some communities purchase ice from vending machines or rely on icemen for deliveries. Many also use old freezers or refrigerators as unpowered ice boxes, relying solely on the insulation and ice to keep food cool. Basements also play a significant role. While not as cold as a refrigerator or ice, basements are ideal for storing canned goods and other items that require a cooler environment. Amish basements are often well stocked, showcasing their commitment to self-sufficiency. One user from an Amish background shared how their house, built in 1912, still has a traditional brick refrigeration chamber in the basement where food could be stored even in hot summers. Other ingenious methods include utilizing cold springs on their property for food cooling. Some homes also feature cold pantries, with windows that can be opened during cooler months to allow cold air in, maintaining a lower temperature. Simple coolers are also used. In some cases, Amish families may even receive assistance from non-Amish neighbors who provide freezer space powered by standard electricity. This arrangement, though not universally permitted, highlights the flexibility within some Amish districts, often justified by its limited and specific use, and because it's not on the Amish family's own property. Finally, storing canned goods is straightforward. The most important factor is keeping them out of direct light. While a cold room is ideal for retaining nutrition and preventing discoloration over years, a climate-controlled closet without direct sunlight is perfectly fine. When stacking jars, it's crucial to place a layer of cardboard or thin plywood between them to distribute weight evenly and prevent pressure points that could break the seal. You can also can in 2-quart jars, using appropriate processing times as per modern guidelines for high-acid foods, particularly for grape juice and applesauce, adjusting water bath times accordingly to ensure thorough heating. A simple bent wire coat hanger can even be used to store canning rings. This common-sense, skill-based approach to canning offers valuable lessons for those looking to embrace a more self-sufficient lifestyle. As another commenter wisely stated, common sense is worth far more than an education. Skills are learned with love. I love learning from tried and tested. Thank you. This journey into Amish and Mennonite canning has truly opened up a new canning adventure for me, making me feel more connected to a reliable source of traditional knowledge. I hope this article provides you with valuable insights and encourages you to explore different ways of preserving food. Remember, it's your kitchen, your rules. But please, prioritize safety and consult research-based guidelines for any home food preservation projects. Let me know in the comments if you have more questions or any experiences with traditional canning methods. And as always, take care and God bless.